Hey guys, are you ready to campaign for yourself? We are coming. We are getting ready. We are campaigning for ourselves today, guys. This is going to be an amazing episode. This is going to be worth the time that you spend. So give us just a few more minutes and we will be right there. I made some changes. Nope. New scene. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
everybody. Welcome to the Self Campaign, where we are campaigning for ourselves. I am so happy and excited that you are here. I'm your host, Sarah Lynn, and this is my co host and cohort, JB.
Hi, guys. How are you doing today? I know it says Jason up there, but I do go by JB as well. So,
Many
yay. I
names.
have many names. Listen, many names and many hats.
Yes, yes. So we are so excited that you're here. Um, this week's episode, we are actually starting off with an apology to my co host.
A what?
I know. Okay, so if you guys tuned in last week, we talked all about expectations. And Jason asked the very thoughtful and insightful question when I said, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?" What did you say?
Well, can I have both?
And what did I do? I was not expecting that question. And I did not know how to answer that question. And I felt very put on the spot. So instead of just saying, "That's a very good question, I don't know, let me think about that," I redirected and moved it along and blew it off and just wasn't very authentic or honest that I was frustrated by the question because I didn't know how to answer that. Because after I thought about it for a little bit, I thought, he's kind of right, but at the same time, I felt like he was purposely missing the point of the question.
Which in your defense, it was a question that I said I understood the point of what you were saying, but it is a question that I continuously ask myself.
Yes.
As why can't I have both?
Yes.
I want to be right, and I also want to be happy.
Yes. So I have thought about this week, and I came up with the answer.
Okay.
You can have both. Now, here's the better question to ask. Do you want conflict or do you want peace?
No, I always want peace.
Right. So here's the problem. If somebody has to be right, then somebody else has to be
wrong.
And that causes
conflict.
Correct. So if we start looking at it that way, do I want conflict or do I want peace? It's much easier to come together to come up with a solution that is cooperative as opposed to an argument.
Right.
That is very combative.
So then rather than having two people on two opposite sides, you find the middle ground, and that gives you the ability to both be right and also have that peace that we say that we want, that we are striving for.
Well, and the other thing is, you may not even be on two sides. Maybe that's where we need to start the discussion, especially if it's a partnership, like a marriage or a relationship or something like that. You're both on the same side tackling this issue.
Yes.
You're just coming at it from different perspectives.
Exactly.
But the issue still needs to be handled.
True. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, that's really good. And thank you. I accept. I will be honest with you. I didn't know that there was a need for an apology. So I accept it, obviously, because you're my bestie.
In my head, I went, oh, he is being contradictory just to be contradictory, totally missing the point of this on purpose, and dang it. And yeah, I realized, no, that's not what you were doing, because you're always very curious and you always ask questions and observe. And that's what we're trying to do here, is ask more questions and observe more. So instead of shutting you down, what I should have said was, that's a really good question. Let me think about that.
Okay. And so that's a good way to segue into what we were talking about today. But I first want to say to you, it's really interesting, because that goes back to the self-talk that we've talked about in some of our previous episodes, where, something happens and there's a bit of a conflict, or not a conflict. Because I don't even really look at that as a conflict. I look at that as kind of
it's an internal conflict in myself. Because I told myself a story.
Right.
That I didn't even know was true or not.
Right. But you took that at that moment as...
I just decided.
That's what that was.
I just decided. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yes, in your defense, I can sometimes be asking the question to just...
thank you for
poke
that.
The bear a little bit,
because you love to poke the bear.
But it's never in a malicious way. It's always in I want to make sure that you understand the other side of the coin. And when someone says, do you want to be right or do you want to have peace? Well, obviously the answer is I want to have peace, but I also want to be right. And so we have
That's why you say, do you want to be right or do you want to have peace? You say, do you want conflict or do you want peace?
Exactly. And I think that's the best way to answer it. Hi, Jim. We love you. We miss you.
Hi, Jim. We love you.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and the notification so you know whenever we go live.
So don't forget, if you're right, someone has to be wrong.
Yes.
If you want peace, you leave room for people to be themselves and come together for a solution. Because that's really what we're all looking for, is a solution.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. Not elbow cough. Do what you got to do, sir. now. So today's episode, we have titled "Pick Up Your Feelings," and I think that for me, as we were talking about it and kind of going through what and reading Sarah Lynn's great and amazing outlines for these episodes, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, so listen, you've said to me all the time, feelings are good or bad, they just are.
My dad always said, feelings aren't right or wrong, they just are.
And
for years, I was like, what the hell does that
what does that even mean? Like,
I was so confused. I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to steal the wind out of your sails on that. But no, every time my dad would say it, I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Honestly, I think what happens is we get a feeling and we do one of two things. We either set up camp there, grab a construction company, put down a foundation, build some walls, put up a nice fireplace, pull up a chair, and hang out there.
And those feelings are usually the victim feelings.
But the things that can disempower you,
yes.
Right? The feelings that if you don't just allow them and let them go and then take your power back, you become very disempowered.
Right.
The other thing we tend to do is project our feelings outward, shove them down, or push them away. So we do one of those two things. We either set up camp or we shove it away somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So intellectually, we all know what feelings are, right? I mean, happy, sad, mad,
glad.
Yeah, we all know feelings. We all know feelings, right?
Yeah, bad.
But do we really know feelings?
I think that we know surface level feelings. We are trained, I think, from a very young age to give those joyous feelings kind of room to live without ever actually understanding where they come from and what they are. And then the bad feelings, and I put that in quotes, we are taught very quickly to stamp those down.
Yes.
And that we're not allowed to have those.
Yes.
And they're bad, and you don't. You're not allowed to feel sad or upset or things because that's
angry
or angry. Especially as children, because then those are selfish feelings, and all feelings are selfish. Like if we're honest about it, all feelings are selfish.
They're what our body naturally does to process what is happening.
Yes.
Right? So the problem with setting up camp is you can very quickly put on the cloak of victim and martyrdom, and then you're totally disempowered.
Right.
The problem with shoving down, ignoring, or throwing our bad feelings out there is we actually cut off our ability to feel the really good feelings too.
Right.
Because we're stopping those bad feelings. So what we're telling our body is feelings are bad. We can't feel them. So when you shut off the bad feelings, you also shut off your ability to process the good feelings.
My partner always says that, like, I'm the type of person that when there's a party and I'm feeling good, I want to make that happen as long as possible.
Yeah. And
I think part of what of that for me is for so long, good feelings are always fleeting. You're waiting for the next bad feeling to come.
The other shoe to drop.
And so as long as you can sit in the good feeling, it's great because it's going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I have to learn in my journey is to just feel the feelings for what they are, be it good, bad, or indifferent, and know that there is always it's always going to change.
So my mom gave me 2 pieces of advice. I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to give this to everybody. She said, Sarah Lynn, number 1, this too shall pass. Number 2, sometimes it's just one damn thing after the other. When it's the second, remember the first.
Listen.
Feelings are that way. There's always one damn feeling after another. They come in waves. That's like the ocean, right? When we're feeling really good, we get a bunch of waves of good feeling. All of a sudden, something comes and disrupts those waves. Now it's just a cycle.
Right.
That we have to cycle through. We have to allow ourselves to cycle through. So one way, if you're camping in your feelings, if you're a camper, one way to stop doing this is instead of saying, I am X emotion, start saying, I am feeling X emotion. So do me a favor, say really quick, I am
content. If this is where we're at right now, I am happy. I have joy. I am overwhelmed, and also worried and nervous.
Okay. So now the problem with that is what you are saying is that is who you are.
Okay.
Emotions constantly change. So if you tell yourself, I am happy and I have to be a happy person, what happens when something makes you sad?
Then you try to push that away,
or
you
feel inauthentic, you feel like you're doing something wrong or bad. So instead of saying I am, start saying I am feeling. I am feeling happy. I am feeling content. I am feeling gratitude. If you're sad, if you're angry, this works really well because you are not your emotion. Because if you were your emotion, your emotional state would be stable the entire time.
Right.
But because emotions come and go, they're not who you are. They're part of your experience, but they're not who you are.
And I think that so many of us, especially, those of us who have grown up in situations where you're not allowed to process your emotions, and because you're not allowed to process them, you hold on to them.
Yep.
And you feel them in a deep way that you don't, that they then become who you are. And I think that as, someone who's grown up, with a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety that I didn't even know that I had, part of it comes from the not being able or not feeling like I was able to really express my emotions and my feelings and things like that.
Yeah.
And
it felt unsafe.
Yes. Yeah. And that's no, what we say all the time on this show, our parents did the best that they could.
Absolutely. Listen, Jason and I grew up in a time when they threw us in the back of a station wagon with the windows up smoking Cools. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this is nothing against our parents. They did the best they could with where they're at.
Right.
We're learning our new ways of being.
Exactly.
And what we realize is things that happened in our past, we now have to either confront or we're going to keep repeating patterns.
And it's the fact that she said Cools makes me laugh. So because Jesus, that's what my mama smoked. She was them and Virginia Slims. Right. But I say that because I am reminded of, there were times where I felt, as a child and growing up, disappointed by things. I've always been a loquacious and happy child. And so those times that I wasn't, or I was disappointed, or I was upset about something, I was not necessarily able to feel those emotions and feel those feelings because they were so different from who I was. And so I started to push them down. And then as I got older, I didn't necessarily know how to properly feel those feelings.
Yeah.
Because it was never, I was never taught how to process them correctly.
Can I be honest with you? I really don't think any of us honestly really know how to feel our feelings.
No.
Honestly. So there is a YouTube video that I want you to go watch after this. Her name is Dr. Joan Rosenberg. It's a TEDx talk, and it's called The Gifted Wisdom of Unpleasant Feelings. It is amazing. What I want us to do, number one, let's stop calling feelings good, bad, right, wrong, ugly, scary, happy, whatever. Let's start calling them what they are, pleasant or unpleasant.
Okay.
Because let's face it, we all have to do some unpleasant things in our lives. If we want to eat off of clean plates, we got to clean the dirty dishes. Not always pleasant, right?
Listen, this is why we grew up with paper plates. Throw them bitches in the trash. You know what I'm saying?
But, if you want clean underwear, you have to do the laundry.
Or don't wear drawers. There are things you can do. I'm just saying there, not to be...
See, just to be contradictory.
Not to be contradictory. I'm just saying there are things you can do but you're right, though. You're right.
There are some things we have to do that are unpleasant.
Yes.
Now, we can make them pleasant. I turn on music and sing and dance around my kitchen. I make a game with myself when I put my clothes away, stuff like that. Like, you can make it a pleasant experience. But that's the thing. Feelings aren't right or wrong, good or bad. They're just pleasant or unpleasant, right?
Yeah.
So that's what she talks about. And it's amazing. She has studied this for a while. And what she talks about is your body biologically starts feeling the feeling before your brain registers that you're feeling that feeling. So like if you're angry, that adrenaline rush, that adrenaline dumps into your system. It's there.
Right.
When we shove it down and push it away, we are not allowing that adrenaline to process through our system properly. So what she suggests is when you start feeling a feeling.
Feelings. Nothing more than feelings.
When you start feeling a feeling, recognize that you're feeling the feeling and count to, she says it takes about 60 to 90 seconds for your body to process like the physiological, biological process that is going to happen with that feeling. For your body to do all of the chemical, physiological stuff that it does.
Right.
So you want your body to do this because you want to process that feeling out of you.
Okay.
Because you don't want to tamp it down and get it stuck in you.
Which I think a lot of times what we do as humans is we do get it stuck. We let it sit.
And fester, and that's where resentment and all that nasty stuff.
I think that it's not even just resentment, but like resentment and all of those things. Biologically, and listen, I'm no doctor.
No, we are not medical professionals.
Not a medical professional.
We're just giving our opinions.
But I feel like that's where ulcers come in.
Yeah.
And there can be physical manifestations of the feelings that you have not processed.
Yes. And actually, it's interesting. There are a couple studies that have shown this. I do not have the references right now. I'm so sorry. If I find them, I will send them your way. But no, you're right. That's where stress causes ulcers.
Yeah. And if we learn to process them in a way. Now it's funny because my dad, when we used to, listen, I grew up in the era of spankings and getting your ass whooped. So do not, by any stretch of the imagination, it's not abuse. It was not abuse.
No.
Just was what it was. But when, the very few times that my dad had to discipline us as children, he would say, you got a minute to cry. Because anything after that, you just cry to hear yourself cry. And I understand that in the processing of emotions. And I don't think that's necessarily where he's coming from. No. He just didn't want to hear all that damn noise. Like, he just didn't want to hear all that.
He was done with it.
But I think when you think about it, that does, there is a point where you're just crying for the sake of, this is where I'm at right now. And it is allowing you to fully feel your emotions. I think the other side of that coin is, because of that, I always felt like there was a time limit that was attached to how long I was able to feel something, how long I was able to have this emotion. And so even though it was for, the feelings of shame and that I was in trouble and the pain of having my ass whooped, it also made me limit the joy and the happiness, because it
feels finite.
Right. Everything felt like it was finite. And so to go back to, my partner saying, like, you want this to last as long as possible. It is. That's where it comes from, is that this idea that, like, it's finite. And as long as I'm in it, I can feel that feeling for as long as it's going on.
Yeah.
But once it's over, I don't have the permission to feel that feeling anymore.
Yeah.
And here I am as a 40-year-old man, still doing things that are patterns from when I was a child.
Yeah.
That relate to feelings, because it's like, oh, well, like, I don't want to leave the club because I'm having a good time. And I know when I leave, I can only revel in the joy and the feelings of that good time for so long. The other side of that coin of that particular coin is when I was going through my depressive state, I was allowing myself to live in that as long as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. That was the one time that I felt like, you know what? I'm an adult. And if I want to be sad, I'm going to be sad. I never gave myself the permission to say,
I'm an adult.
I'm an adult. If I want to be happy or if I want to feel joy, I'm going to feel joy. And I know that there's chemical imbalances and things like that also come into play on that. But it's feeling your feelings, I think, and really being able to say, in this moment, I am angry because or I feel angry because this thing happened and it made me feel all of these other emotions, and sitting in that, not camping in it. Because I think there's a difference between camping in a feeling, setting your, putting your stake down and say, I am here.
Yeah.
But really just sitting with it and processing it.
And there's a difference between sitting in it and sitting with it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
When you sit in it, it is you. When you sit with it, you say, I see you here. I know you're just here for however long you're going to be here for, and it's okay. And a lot of times when you allow yourself to do that, the feeling actually goes away quicker because it's being felt and honored and seen and witnessed, and now it can leave.
Now, I saw you, you're here. You didn't pretend like I didn't exist. And now I'm going to go away.
Yeah.
And, you can feel
the next feeling that comes
along.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Sorry. I thought it was interesting that you brought up angry, because I want to know how many of us actually know the feeling that we're actually feeling in the moment. Because what happens is we tend to feel 3 emotions: angry, sad, and bad.
Or I don't feel good. Because you can be, growing up, we weren't allowed to feel bad. Feeling bad wasn't a thing,
Yes.
So what we learned was, I don't feel good. And that could be physically, that could be emotionally, that could be mentally. I don't feel good. I can't necessarily, when I go back to when I was going through that anxiety and depression, people would say, well, what do you feel? And I would be like, I just don't feel good. Because I didn't know how to properly express what emotions I was feeling.
Yes, that's where an emotion wheel can come in really helpfully, because it breaks down the emotions. Like, there's the main emotions, and then the emotions that tend to fall under those emotions, and then the rest of the emotions that fall under those. let me explain what I mean.
Yes.
So there was one time my wife and I got into a huge fight because she, for some reason, doesn't like to text me to let me know she's running late. And it was this big thing. She felt that I was trying to control her because I wanted to know her every move. My thing was, if you're 3 hours late, and I know you're 3 hours late, I can relax. I can take a bath. I can put on my favorite music and dance around. I can relax and have a good time in the house by myself. If I don't know you're running late and I'm worried something happened to you, those 3 hours
are
not pleasant.
Right.
I am worried. I'm upset. I'm calling hospitals. What are you, dead on the side of the road somewhere? I mean, come on. I'm New York. From a very Catholic neighborhood. The guilt goes deep, right?
Right. If I had just been there,
right.
If I had known.
Right. So there was one time she came home and we got into a huge fight because this, again, happened regularly. And I was so angry. I was so angry. I mean, I was throwing out the venom and the pikes and just, you're going to feel everything.
I've seen those.
And my wife looked at me and she said, "Why are you so angry?" And it flew out of my mouth before I even processed what I said. But as soon as I heard it, I stopped and went, "Oh." I said, "Because I was fucking scared. You scared me." And it flew out of my mouth before I even processed it. I am scary when I'm scared. Brene Brown says that all the time. And I was like, yes, that is me right there. And if you back me into a corner, that's fine. I'm taking 3 of you motherfuckers out with me.
Right.
Nope. We're not doing, no. If I'm scared, I'm taking you out with me. Taking the fear out with me. All right.
I love it.
You get to see in my brain a little bit. But so the problem is, I wasn't even really angry. I was scared. But because being scared feels very vulnerable, it's much easier to be angry, right?
Right.
Because I can fight with anger. If I'm scared, that's not really a fighting emotion.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's a fear response. That is the fight or flight.
Yeah.
And
fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah.
Right.
And I fight.
You fight.
Apparently.
I'm a freezer. I'm the one that's like, you know, and I will tell this story. There was one time that me and some friends had gone out and we, something didn't feel right at the beginning of the day. You know what I mean? One of those things where we should have just been like
the gut, and you just try to ignore
something
it.
My shondo wasn't right, wasn't feeling
and you
feeling
push
good.
It aside because you're like, no, we're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be wonderful. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so we go out and to someone I know and a really close friend of mine kind of gotten into it over something stupid. And it, over the course of the day, like, emotions were really weird and out of whack. And like, I remember I got emotional and I had just moved back to Jacksonville from DC and I just wanted to go home back to DC. And like, something in my spirit was like, this is not a good time. But at the time, once we had gotten to the bar, the wheels were off of the train and there was no braking. And, so we realized as we're driving that there was somebody following us.
Ooh.
And I'm like, what is happening? And so we pull up to where we were going to be at for the night. And it was someone's house. And that car pulls up behind us. And it's those same 2 dudes. And him and my friend get to fighting. And, because all of us are who we are, they start to jump in. I immediately freeze because I'm not a violent person. I don't understand violence. I don't get how we got here.
Right. You're like, wait, what? Where did we? What happened?
What happened?
Weren't we
Like,
just right over here?
we were just having a good time. We were all drunk, and the dude punches my friend, not a different friend, and knocks him out. And immediately I went into full emotional mode because that is how I process emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was like, this is somebody that I know that I was at one point friends with, and then my best friend, and I don't understand how this
is transpiring
the way that it went.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put hands on this dude that I used to be cool with. That like it wasn't even like we had a blowout or a fight. It was like time happened and we just drifted.
Yeah.
And like I don't know where this is going or what happened here. And like I froze, and then I immediately felt guilty for not stepping up and not taking up for my friend and not going in and doing all the boxing and all that. But that's not in me.
Yeah.
Now we gonna throw hands just on general principle. But at the time, and this now, that like now I'm gonna be like, oh well, what's up?
Yeah.
But at the time that wasn't me. And rather than feeling the shame and the guilt and having the conversation about what happened, what transpired, and I still feel a bit of shame even talking about it. I felt the emotion kind of like, ooh. Rather than talking about it, we stopped talking for, it was maybe a couple weeks, because I didn't know how to broach the subject and be like, yo, I apologize for this. It was an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
There were friendships that were good that were never the same after that incident.
Yeah.
Luckily me and that person our friendship was stronger than that situation. We don't even discuss it or talk about it, but I still feel a level of guilt and bad about how I didn't react because
you did react. You just didn't react the way a man should, right?
Right.
Or a friend should. You didn't react in the norms that are pushed on us.
Right. And I still.
But if they're both people that you care about, is it really normal to jump up and punch one of them in the face?
Yeah, and it's.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we get taught this whole machismo, loyalty. Loyalty is sticking up for your friends and punching somebody in the face, and maybe loyalty is looking at your friend and going, you know what, something feels off. Let's go to my house. And if they don't come along, that's fine. You gave them an out.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's like, I think at that point, I didn't know why I didn't react. Now I can look back on it and say, I didn't react out of fear. I didn't react out of confusion, because at this point.
Well, the other thing is you were drunk. Let's face it. Yeah. When we're inebriated, we do not make good choices.
And I can even tell you 12, 13 years later, I have no idea, maybe 14 years, I have no idea what that was about.
Right.
I have no idea what started it.
And I bet you none of them do either.
I have no idea where it came from, who threw the first punch,
but
where the argument
really
came from.
Important with that story is that initial gut feeling.
Yeah.
How many of us, I hate to say especially women, but it's very true. Women have these gut feelings. And everybody has gut feelings, but women's gut feelings, when we're in a space that doesn't feel safe, if we follow our gut feeling, we're told we're being crazy. There's nothing wrong.
Right.
If we don't follow our gut feeling and something happens terrible, to us personally and we become victims of a sexual assault or abuse or something like that, then that's our fault because we should have listened to our gut and gone away.
Right.
So we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. So that's the other really important thing about feelings. You really need to start listening to your body, processing the feeling all the way through, allowing it, so when you get those gut feelings, you can trust them 100%. And if you walk into a room and go, turn around and walk the fuck out, I'm giving you full permission. Fucking leave. Fucking leave. If you're walking down a street and it don't feel safe, turn around. If you're walking down an alley, it don't feel safe, turn around. If you're wherever you are, if you walk into something or start participating in something and something feels off, it's off for you. It doesn't have to be off for anybody else.
Right.
This isn't anybody else's experience that we're talking about. This is your experience, and you are responsible for your experience.
One of the things that I think is interesting about that is, so for those who don't know, I didn't learn how to drive until I was 32. And I can imagine so many incidents and things that I've been in that gut feeling told me to go, said, hey, this ain't where you need to be. Mm-hmm. But I was trapped.
Yeah.
Because I was somewhere else with somebody else. And my instinct said, you need to leave now. But my circumstances were like, you can't go nowhere. Like,
well, that's the nice thing about nowadays. Now we got Uber, we got Lyft.
Right. We got Lyft. If you got to go, you got ways to go. And I think what's interesting now is I am so confident in that gut feeling that there were times when I have gone out to the bar that I have walked in and been there 10 minutes and been like, nope. This ain't it.
This isn't a good night.
It's not a good night.
Something's off.
And nothing will be fine. Nothing will have happened. Everything would have been fine. But in my spirit, that is not where I'm supposed to be. And I've done that. My mom will tell you, I have not gotten on many a plane to go home because something in my spirit didn't feel right. Uh-huh. And my mama would be like, boy, you fine. And I'd be like, it just didn't feel right. Something said, you get on this plane, that's going to be the last plane you get on. And I was like, nope, can't do it. There was one time we were going to, and it's that feeling, it's trusting that feeling. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is going to happen. It just means that you are honoring the feelings that you're feeling in that moment.
You're honoring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get that gut feeling and you ignore it, you are ignoring yourself. You're listening to all the noise around you and ignoring yourself. And what we're trying to do here with the Self Campaign is honor ourselves. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what that means for anybody else. And I know that sounds really awful, but when you think about it, when you take full responsibility for yourself, for your emotions, for your happiness, for your worthiness, for all of those things, it becomes nobody else's responsibility.
Yes.
But your own.
Yes.
Do you know how many people you let off the hook? Your partner, your parents, your friends. It's not their job anymore to entertain you and make you feel good. You know that one friend that everybody, because you are that friend, everybody calls, Jason, I'm having a bad day. Come make me laugh.
I am not your monkey.
Right.
Listen, my friend Josh.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do to people. We assign them jobs for ourselves, a lot of times subconsciously. And then we get very upset because we've set these silent expectations to help our feelings, and they're not doing their job.
It is, and that is a thing. One of my friends, my very, very best friend in the world, Joshua, is very good at. Because we would be like, Joshua, do that. I am not your monkey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not doing that.
I'm funny for me. When
Right.
I feel like being funny. When the spirit moves me to be funny, I will be funny. Until that point in time, I am not your monkey.
And listen, and that has been a thing that has gotten me through life because I am funny by nature.
Yes.
You know, I am.
And
I
you
am
do love to
outgoing,
uplift
and I
people.
love to uplift people. I love being the shoulder to cry on when I want to do that.
When you have the capacity.
When I have the bandwidth, right.
The problem is a lot of us, because we're not taking care of ourselves, don't have the bandwidth for anything.
Right. We barely have the bandwidth for our own stuff.
Yes. And so what this allows, when you put all of these pieces together, what it allows you to do is to start giving yourself space, to have space and grace for yourself, which then allows you to have more space and grace for others, which makes your relationships so much deeper and more connected because you now have space and grace and time to tend to them.
Yes. And I think that, you know, one of the things about some of the friendships that I have that have been long-standing in my life, you included, has been that we give each other the space and the grace to be who we are and to feel the feelings that we feel. And it isn't, we don't look at it and go, well, you are always, you know, we can always be the fun person, you know, and then we can also be the person who needs the fun person.
Yep.
And we can be the person who needs, you know, we can be the shoulder to cry on and the person who needs the shoulder to cry on.
Do you know why that is? Because humans are a spectrum, not a dichotomy. See how we bring it all back?
You better bring it back, boo.
Listen, okay? All of this ties together. Feelings are a spectrum. People are a spectrum because we feel feelings. It's not always going to be the same.
So today's episode is, again, pick up your feelings.
Or, to say it better, process your feelings.
No, but see, here's the thing. When you pick up your feelings, you can process them.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, you know, what we tend to do is see that our feelings are there and put them away.
Yep.
We put them away. We go, you know what? That's a feeling. I can't deal with that right now. And so we put it in a room and we shut the door and we lock it. And then we take another feeling and we put it in that door and we shut it and we lock it. And then we realize there's a point in time where we go to put a feeling in that door in that same room, and that room is full. So you have to pick up your feelings, open the box, sit with it, feel it, let it process out, and then go on about your day.
Then you get to decide what you want to do with that feeling. Like if you are angry, right? Something happens and it makes you angry. And you sit with that feeling, you count to 90, let the chemical physiological processes of anger go through you. And then you think about it for a little bit and then you pinpoint and you're like, actually, I'm not angry. I was really scared. What about that situation scared me? Well, it was this. Well, now you can go have a deep and connected conversation with the person that this happened with to explain what happened in a nice way as opposed to screaming and yelling at each other.
Yes.
So you actually get some traction and you actually come to solutions. Because what my wife finally understood was, listen, I'm not trying to control you. I don't care where you are. You don't even have to tell me where you are. Just, I'm not going to be home till 8. Woohoo! Yes! I get the whole house to myself for 3 hours! Yes! I don't care where you are. I don't care who you're with. I just want to know you're breathing. And you ain't dead on the side of the road.
The girl. You're right. I'm not gonna contradict you today, right on that. But you and I both know I don't care who you with is not the deal. But But I think but what she said, to touch on, what you said, I think that's right. It's this idea of, if you are sitting in a feeling and you are not figuring out how to communicate that feeling with someone else, especially if that feeling is connected to somebody else, then you are dooming that relationship to fail.
Right. Because we do this all the time. Because you made me angry. No. Something they did triggered anger in you. Why did that trigger anger in you?
And then you go in deep and figure out what that is.
Wow, I'm not really angry. I was really scared. Why was I scared? Well, I was afraid you were dead on the side of the road somewhere. Why is that? Well, my mom always used to say, whenever I was late, if I was 10 minutes late, why didn't I call? I thought you were dead on the side of the road somewhere. Blah, blah, blah. It was a big, huge thing. So I'm just repeating this pattern in my life over and over until it hit me. I'm not angry, I'm scared. And I need to talk about why I'm scared, so she understands why I'm asking for this thing that she sees as unreasonable, because I don't think it's unreasonable. And here's why. And then she can tell me why she thinks it's unreasonable. And then we can figure out, actually, no, I don't want to control you. I don't care where you are. I don't care who you're with. I just want to know you're breathing so I can relax and enjoy my evening.
I still don't. Okay. I'm gonna let that. Listen, you only got one.
We've been together so long now, honestly.
Now you don't care.
I really don't care.
Listen, but I say you're gonna keep saying that.
This was a couple years ago. I'd be wrong.
I would be like,
now,
girl.
Now, honestly, I don't. I trust her. I trust my wife. We've been married 5 years. She said at the 5-year mark, if you don't get rid of me before 5 years, you're stuck with me.
Well,
I said, I'm stuck with you too. You're stuck with me, so we're stuck together now.
Well, and speaking of feelings and things, let's talk about.
I do want to talk about that at the very beginning when I said, if you don't allow yourself to process the bad feelings correctly, you can't process the good feelings either. I do want to touch on that. So Brené Brown has her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Mm-hmm. Guys, I drop names all the time. I want you to go watch other videos. I want you to purchase books. I want you to do, because this is all, everybody has something to gain from all of these people. This is where I learned all of my stuff from that I'm sharing with you guys. So she talks about foreboding joy. And foreboding joy is when you can't quite feel all the joy you should be feeling in the moment.
Right.
I didn't realize this was a thing that I had until I heard her talk about it on a podcast. And I went, what? And I went and I did a little more research and I looked into it a little more. And there have been a lot of moments in my life where I have had foreboding joy, and my poor wife has been on the receiving end of that.
Listen, go ahead.
Linda Blue is a saint.
A saint. Listen, so is my partner. He is a saint.
So, my engagement story. Jason, I think this is one of your favorite stories.
This is my second favorite story, but yes.
Yeah. So, my wife always said she never wanted to get married. Mm-hmm. So I was not expecting a ring. So Christmas is my favorite holiday. I love decorating the house. I just love the smells and all the things that come with it.
Christmas lasts forever in there.
I love Christmas. So anyway, we had decorated the tree. Everything was done. She got my ring for me before Christmas, but didn't want to wait till Christmas to give it to me because she was so excited. So the one evening, she called me into the living room in front of the Christmas tree, got down on one knee, and started proposing. Beautiful, right? Christmas is my favorite season. This should be amazing, right? This should be like a Hallmark moment.
Perfect.
No. What does Sarah Lynn do? Sarah Lynn yells at her. Are you fucking kidding? If you are fucking kidding, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. Are you fucking serious right now? So my poor wife is on one knee in front of the Christmas tree, patting all of her pockets because she left the ring in her coat pocket, which is now in the closet behind her. And because she didn't produce the ring, there's no way this could be real, because that's all my stuff that I deal with.
I think,
So she ran to the closet, got the ring, and I used to laugh about that story. Now that story upsets me so much. It makes me so sad that my poor wife, I can't even believe she married me, guys. Twice.
I think that, but see, here's what I love about that story. Because that story is your journey in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You know, you have dealt with so much mess from other people that in that moment you couldn't believe that it was real for you. And your wife knew that.
Yeah.
You know,
She
she
still gave me the
knew
ring.
that. She knew this moment or what's happening isn't about me. It's about what she's going through. And I'm going to give her the absolute best that I have.
Yeah.
And I remember because we met you guys out afterwards that night. And the joy on your face and and I knew that was happening weeks prior.
You couldn't give a girl a heads up. What did you say last time when we were talking about you and Paul surprising you? And I said, maybe you should just understand. See, I read you so well because it's like I'm reading myself. Let's be honest.
I knew it was happening, and I didn't know when it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was happening, and part of me thinks the reason that your wife couldn't wait is because she knew that eventually I was going to be like, girl, do you know? You know what I'm saying? Girl.
You're going to spoil it.
She knew I was going to spoil it. So.
If only she had let you spoil it. If only it could have been a whole different story.
No, because then she would never have let me live that down.
True.
But, you know, because I was like...
But she has never let me live that engagement story down either, so...
But I think that to me, that is a beautiful moment of... I know that in your mind, you're like, there's a guilt and there's shame.
Well, that's what Foreboding Joy does. Foreboding Joy did not allow me to be present in that wonderful, amazing moment and receive everything that my wife was giving me. This is what Foreboding Joy does to us. So if you do not process your feelings fully, you cannot process the joyful feelings either, which means you pull yourself out of the present moment in the joyful times. How much does that suck?
A lot, because I do it on a regular basis.
Yes.
There is always, and this is something that and part of it for me, and it goes back to that story I was telling before, we were telling last week, or when we were talking about you know, my problems with my partner doing things and me being kind of an ass about it.
Because he's a great
secret
secret keeper and he's wonderful planner. So poor Jason thinks nothing is happening because Paul is also very good at making sure that nobody says anything and nobody tells anything, and poor Jason is in the dark and thinks nothing is happening.
And you know, and why I can't. I was always used to being the forgotten child. Yep. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's not to say, again, my parents were in a situation where there's a bunch of birthdays in very quick succession. Right. And so, you know, it was always there, you know, I was, as the only boy, I was kind of the forgotten one. And so as I got older, I made myself a brat, for lack of a better term. I spoiled myself. Mm-hmm. And so my expectation, you know, is these are the things that I deserve. Yeah. And I'm not going to settle for less than that. Yeah. And so when my partner would I know that things were coming up. And although in my head, I would know he's going to do something, he's going to knock it out of the park, it's going to be amazing. You know, it would always be bigger. What I expected for a long time was always bigger than what I got. And so there was always that level of a little bit of disappointment. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I'm not very good at tempering at those expectations. Yeah. So it's like, oh, we're going to do, like, I remember there was one Christmas. I'm sure you remember this one very well. I went above and beyond. I went nuts for that Christmas because, you know, we had a little bit of extra money. Things were going great.
You and I love to do that.
We
It's
love
the
doing
thing about
that.
Christmas. That's what I love about Christmas so much is gift giving.
Yeah.
I don't even like getting. I like
Oh, no,
giving.
I love getting.
I mean,
let's be real.
I do. It's great. But my favorite thing is finding the perfect gift for somebody and watching them open it. That's what I love. Okay, so anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off on that.
So, you know, I had gone above and beyond. I had done, like, I think that year I may have spent, like...
Way too much.
You
did way too much.
Way too much.
We're also the too much crowd, in case you didn't know.
You know...
I know, shocking.
And I think we had, like, everybody was over at the house, and it was the first year that we had done Christmas at home, just the friends, just the family, and...
Yeah, that was the year that we did all the stuff on... We had everybody over for dinner at our house, and we got all the things on the fridge, little, like, pockets for everybody with treats.
I mean, it was this amazing thing, and... This is a terrible story to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyway. And so we had gotten up early that morning, and I had given my partner all of his gifts. And, like, I was just sitting there, like, you see the meme of the little boy with the tea, and he's just like... Because I knew I had knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And because I knew I had knocked it out of the park, and I know my partner.
Yeah.
You know, he is going... I've mentioned the things that because he's one of those people that, like, he'll take something that you said 10 months ago, just in passing, and turn it into, like, this amazing thing.
Yes. He is very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
Yes.
And it was my turn, and I think he left to go out of town. He did, because his nephew's birthday is also on Christmas. So he likes to go there for that, but he wanted to be home for Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And so he hands me this box, and it's the size, and I think of that year I wanted an Xbox 360. I think that was the year, and it was like the size. I was like, he did it. Oh shit. Like, I was excited.
Yes.
I was like, yes, queen. I was ready. And I opened that box, and in that box was a pillow. No, don't get me wrong. That pillow is fucking amazing.
And you love that pillow. That is your favorite pillow now.
It's my second one. I got the cute pillow now.
Yeah.
But I love that pillow.
But at the time, he did not love that pillow so much.
I was like, oh, yay. Thanks. And then you have to be, rather than figuring out why I felt the way that I did, why I could not feel joy that he thought enough about me in that moment, that he found, because 10 months earlier I was like, oh, I need another pillow, and he thought about that.
He was very
held
thoughtful
on to it
and got that for you.
Had the cooling pad on the top of it so that it wouldn't be hot in my face, and all, like, it was memory foam, and it was perfect. And it took me a little bit to be like, this was a good girl. But, like, in that moment, I was very much like, this motherfucker got me a pillow.
That was an interesting Christmas.
Pillow.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say anything because I don't ever want him to feel bad,
Yeah.
But, like, somebody had to know. I got a pillow. And, and I felt shame for feeling my initial
guilty.
feeling, and guilty.
Yes.
But I was still like in my head, I was like, I went way over budget for this, because I wanted to show that I loved him, and all of that. And rather than having that conversation, I I pushed that. I took that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
put it in a box, and put it in a room.
Uh-huh.
And here's the interesting thing about feelings: when you don't process them,
Mm-hmm.
they continue to come back.
Yes.
And they come back in the weirdest ways.
Yes.
Because I remember.
So all the times that we don't feel our feelings, we're divorcing a part of ourselves. We are shunning a part of ourselves. Shadow work, the thing that everybody talks about, do your work, the shadow work, those are all the pieces of you that you have left along the path that you have said, no, that is not a part of me because somebody told me that's not okay. So no, that's your shadow.
Right.
And all those feelings that you shove in there feed your shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets bigger and bigger. Do you remember the story about the white lie, the little white lie, and it
Mm-hmm.
grew and grew and grew, and like was the building like it was like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was coming out of all the like windows and doors? That's your shadow.
Right.
Those are all those feelings that you keep shoving into that. You think it's a little box, but it's a huge apartment building.
Yeah.
And that bitch is full, and her bricks are just popping.
Just.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, what I was saying, it comes back up in weird ways is because the next year was the year of the big birthday
Mm-hmm.
where Paul went way above and beyond.
We went to Funky Town, wasn't it?
No, it was before the Funky Town one.
Oh, okay, because that one was...
It was the parents.
Oh. When he
And-
surprised you with them? Yes.
And I was like, well, remember. I think I was talking to you about it because I was upset because he hadn't said anything about my birthday. He was just like,
Yep.
nothing. And I was like, do you remember when this nigga bought me a pillow?
And I told him, Jason, just relax.
And I was like,
Just relax.
what is happening here? And so, and it's one of those things where like we don't, and now I can fully stand in that I was 100% wrong. You know what I mean? That
You and me both, a lot of times.
Just
right?
100%
wrong.
wrong is just wrong is two left shoes. You know what I mean? But it's so funny because I see here that you've got your wedding story, which is a story kind of for both of us.
I'm gonna leave that for another time.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that for another time. So, guys, what I want you to do, the call to action this week. See if you can find an emotion wheel. I keep trying to find one that I can print off, and I cannot. There's got to be a printable one out there somewhere. I keep finding them online, but I cannot print it off. I will see if I can attach some things to this. Hopefully, maybe. If not, I'm so sorry, but
we'll make it work.
There are emotion wheels online. Print off yourself an emotion wheel. And what I want you to do is see if you can find where you may be expressing something other than what you're actually feeling. See if you can give yourself some space, give yourself some grace, take a beat, take a breath, really let yourself feel the feeling that's coming up, all of the chemical, physiological processes, everything that happens, breathe through it and let it pass, and then see if you can sit with it for a little bit and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when a feeling comes up, can you sit with it, breathe through, and let it go? Try it. Just we all carry these things around. Set your little alarm for 90 seconds and just take deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just let it.
And I will tell you, I don't know about the iPhone, but I know if you have a Samsung, if you got an Android, there is a stress counter on there where you can press a button and it will help you, give you breathing exercises.
There you go. There you go. So just breathe through it. It's going to be okay. I don't think anybody's ever died from a feeling, except maybe broken heart syndrome.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about if you're going through your day, something happens and your brain goes, oh, that's a feeling. Your body's already started processing it. So just hold on for the ride. It's not going to be that long. It's like you're falling out of an airplane.
And I think the other thing is when you pick up your feelings, you also have to be ready to and then we're going to end with this. and maybe this will be a good topic for next week. When you pick up your feelings, you also have to be ready to, once you process them, put them down and let them go.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what happens is that we do pick up our feelings, and then we hold on to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's when we build camp.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we set up camp. This is mine. This is all mine. This is who we ingest it and make it become a part of us and give it our identity.
And we let it ruin our day, our week, our month, our year,
our life.
This one incident, this one thing that if you you can process through and figure out where it needs to go and put it in its puzzle piece.
Yep.
But we've decided, no, we're going to hold on to this,
mm-hmm.
and this becomes our identity.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Your feelings are not your identity. Your feelings just are. So stop saying I am and start saying I am feeling. And see how that changes things.
Because feelings are fleeting.
Yes.
And yes. Thank you, Sarah Lynn, for this today.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have any questions, remember you can email us at the selfcampaignpod@gmail.com.
Yep.
We're happy to get your questions.
And for those of you, there's no church announcements today because unless you have any.
Oh, you do have a church announcement.
I do.
If you are in Kansas City, the reason why we are recording on Thursday is because my gorgeous, talented, fabulous co-host and cohort is having his debut tomorrow at Market Days.
Yes, Market Days, an LGBT celebration.
As an MC.
I will be MCing tomorrow night from 5 to midnight.
Come out.
If you are in the Kansas City area, I would love to see you guys there.
Where is it again? I can't.
It is downtown. It's off of 12th Street.
Okay.
It's actually like a couple of blocks.
Okay.
It's right in front of City Hall.
Perfect.
I will be out there doing my very best. And since we are in a we are doing the self-campaign, I do want to say that there are those who, feel their kind of way about there being two different Pride celebrations and blah, 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 blah. My feelings, because this is what we're talking about, are this. I am very much on the side of, I want us to be peace. I want there to be less conflict. I want us to be able to, come together and have a good time and feel the joy of being who we are. And
together in community.
And that is what my job is tomorrow. And regarding the other stuff that's happening, the stuff that's in the background, that's background stuff. Let background folks figure that out. Mm-hmm. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And
this is such a great opportunity for you. You've been wanting to MC for a really long time. And here's the problem, folks. In case you didn't know, in order to be an MC, you have to have experience. But in order to get experience, they want you to be an experienced MC. Do you see the problem here? It's a round robin that never gets solved.
Right.
So Jason has found a way to get an in to MC
that will get me the experience that I need.
So you can do it other places, with other people, with other things. So you can grow your own venture, your own creation. So
exactly.
Let's all celebrate and be excited. If you want to, come out, support him. If it's not your thing, that's totally fine. We will see you here on KCAPC with all of our other ventures.
Mm-hmm. And this is an amazing opportunity that I would be boo-boo the damn fool to pass up.
Yes.
And so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to knock it out of the park like I always do.
Yes.
And we will see you. That's really the only church announcement. I do have a super secret surprise thing happening on the channel coming up next week. So just be looking out
for be so fun.
Tuesday around 7 p.m.
All right, everybody. Set your calendars. Tuesday, 7 p.m.
Tuesday, 7 p.m.
Hop in KCAPC. If you're subscribed and you hit that bell, it'll let you know.
It'll let you know I'm here. And we will be doing something that I think you guys will be super interested in. I'm excited. I'm way excited about it.
So if you're bored, hop on it. Kidding.
That shit was too funny to me. That's still. If you're bored, come watch JB play video games.
I'm so sorry. No, sorry.
Speaking of video games, I said I didn't have church announcements, but I do.
Yes.
We are talking September on Twitch. That is for anyone who subs for the month of September. They get a discount on their sub.
Oh, nice. And what do they do? What do you do on Twitch? I know you do Jackbox.
I do Jackbox on Friday nights, but all through the week I play games. We talk. It's always a great conversation. Usually somebody will start a conversation about something, and then we just go. And sometimes I'll have other guests.
Nice.
That will be on that will talk with me while I'm playing a game or doing something.
How exciting. That sounds like so much fun. So yeah, guys, please subscribe. Go check it out. If you want to join. We'd love to have you. Yeah, support Jason, support the team. Yeah,
the Twitch is KC Caffeine Gaming. It is the other leg of what KCAPC is about.
Perfect.
I'm actually working on getting some other people that will be under that same KC Caffeine Gaming banner.
Perfect.
And we're just my goal right now is to give voices to people who don't have one.
Yeah.
And let others who have spotlights, shine those things around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give everybody a thing. So thank you guys for all of your support.
Don't forget, go to the Patreon if you want to be a Patreon member. We'd love to have
you. I have some things coming for the Patreons too. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at some t-shirt designs and some coffee mug designs.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
So I haven't forgotten about that. And then I also am looking at some exclusive things.
Nice.
There may be a video on being kinky and black coming to the Patreon. You may have to, listen, I may have to reveal some secrets.
But you can only get in if you're on the Patreon.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. We will definitely see you next week. Again, please take very, very good care of yourselves. Yeah, and that's it for us here.
We love you.
We love you so much.
We love you so much. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you
next week.
I'll see you in the morning for Wake the F Up.
Wake the F Up. Don't forget.
And if you're awake, you want to come and guest Wake the F Up,